Log on to kcbzradio.com and check the schedule for Situation and Circumstance Live, complete with music, live phone call access, and additional audio and programming. Anthony and TBT would love for you to be a part of the live broadcast and recording of Situation and Circumstance at kcbzradio.com.
Situation and circumstance. Fight for wisdom, not ignorance. Trying to avoid it is not a lonely dance. Can we see each other with only a glance? Situations and circumstances. Fight for wisdom, not ignorance. Trying to avoid it is not a lonely dance. Can we see each other with only a glance?
Cake mixing, race mixes, matrix, kill the witches, 3 digits, made of 6s, KKK or white.
All right. Once again, welcome to Situation and Circumstance. I already have a mouthful of smile right now as I'm happy to be back and see the wonderful people that I get to work with here. As a matter of fact, let's just jump into saying hello to everyone. What you got to say to us or for us today, Julius and Mariah? The TBT, the best tea.
Hi, y'all. This is Mariah. How you doing?
What up?
That's all he say. What up? Hey.
Well,
yeah.
I hope everyone has had a great week so far.
It was cool. It was really cool, everybody. You know, I just really want to say so much right now, but I'm withholding my words. Please forgive me.
What the people can't see just then when y'all experience that, listeners, when you experience that little bit of silence in between there, that's me giving them that look like, that's all you gonna say, mother nugger. And today also, I'm happy to say that we have a guest in the house. Her name is Tiana.
Yes.
Cal State grad,
Yes.
black, beautiful woman.
Yes.
She has an important perspective, enjoys movie production, and coming out with her own podcast called Out of the Cave. Mm-hmm. And so she'll be joining us today as we talk about relationships. And this is going to be a 4-part series, relationships will be. So we're going to talk about a lot of different things. We will be discussing this deconstruction of perpetuated gender norms, roles with women, roles with men. At some point, we'll be talking about monogamy versus polygamy. We'll be talking about one of my favorite things to do and talk about, sex and fantasy. What? I'm not the only one. Am I the only one in here who enjoys sex?
Is that
Not.
Okay.
Oh, he said yes.
Oh, wow. And if you do not enjoy it, then you may want to stay tuned for that so that you can find out a little bit more about how you can. Yeah. Jesus. Right. Yeah. So we're going to get down with all of that. Once again, we're here at kcbzradio.com. This is Situation and Circumstance, and we're on every second and fourth Tuesday. We sit in that sweet spot of perpetual metamorphosis layered with perspective. All over the world, there is a situation and a circumstance. And so as we proceed to get into some of that and give you what you need, Mariah.
Yeah, we're just going to talk a bit about today, which I'm so excited about, is how women are portrayed and shown in our lives, in media, deconstructing how our roles, our gender roles, are continued to be shown and displayed not just in media but also in society, in our cultures, in our families, what that looks like, the mirroring of those things, just really getting into it. And so I'm excited to have you, girl, here. Yeah, to talk about that too. And to hear what these gentlemen have to say about that as well. So without further ado, let's get into this music here. First, we got Janelle Monáe and Erykah Badu on Queen, Queen.
Log on to kcbzradio.com and check the schedule for Situation and Circumstance Live, complete with music, live phone call access, and additional audio and programming. Anthony and TBT would love for you to be a part of the live broadcast and recording of Situation and Circumstance at kcbzradio.com.
All right, y'all. That last one, I know y'all know, it's Blurred Lines by Robin Thicke. I was just telling them in the studio right now that I was contemplating whether or not to even use this song because I don't want to give him clout. But it's a great example for how even a catchy song, everyone dances to it. We got all these women. I know me and my mama be dancing to that song. And then you listen to the words and it makes me start to think about what exactly we're even talking about today, which is how do y'all see women being portrayed and have been portrayed years and years ago versus today? Has it changed how women are gender roles and gender norms? Are they changing? Have they changed? What do you see them as far as women go? And how has that affected you in your life or that of around you? Would you like to start us off, Tiana?
Oh, yeah, I can start you off. I mean, aside from media and society specifically, gender roles kind of starts from birth. Once people find out whether they're having a boy or a girl, obviously we assign a specific color to that, a pink or blue. It's one or the other. Even in the hospital, they have blankets that are pink or blue for boy or girl. And then it carries over to giving them toys. Like girls tend to have baby dolls, play kitchens, and things like that. And it's kind of like, okay, well, that's your role in the world. And then men will have like a play tool shed or something like that. So yeah, that's how I think gender roles begin. And then after that, it's your parents telling you what you can and cannot do. Like me, I grew up with all brothers, so it's like my older brother being able to go out and have girlfriends and stay out late, and me being like, no, you're a woman, you stay inside and you can't have a boyfriend. Don't even think about sex, actually. Don't even think about sex until you're 30 years old, actually. I'm like, this is ridiculous. Because we're over here, my dad's like, yeah, get it, and to my brother. But for me, it's like, nope, don't even think about it. So it's interesting to me. Yeah, that's how you condition.
Do you feel like media, meaning any sort of media, whether it's film, television, songs, music, how do you feel like that plays a role with this? Do you feel like it's a chicken and the egg type of situation?
I think media has a huge role in it. I mean, it starts with your upbringing and then it's perpetuated by the media, I think you mentioned earlier. And with music especially, but with movies, and as a black woman specifically, black women are sexualized from a young age, and that's kind of like we're taught that our value as black women is being sexy rather than being intelligent first. So you see that play out a lot in movies or music, black women being the sexual relief. And
yeah.
You know what I find interesting about this particular topic is how hard it was to, as a man, how hard it was to allow myself permission to have this conversation. So in this way, so in different instances, we all can be targets, and in other cases, we're the opposite of that, right? And when I think about, like, if we were talking about black issues, then I think about how if somebody said, well, things have changed, right? Or have things changed, right? Then I could see how there's this whole huge conversation that we'd have. And if that was asked to somebody who was not African American, have things changed, then I could see them feeling uncomfortable about, or I could see them thinking in their head, they can think of some things that changed, but being scared that if they say this thing that has changed, then it's like, oh, here you go with that. But what about all these other things that are happening? So in that same sense, we're just moving from one oppression to another, right? So we're not talking about oppression of black people, but we're talking about perpetuated gender norms and these roles. And so I want to start off by saying that my first level of comfort is discomfort, but I own that, and I feel like, hey, so what? I don't expect someone to be like, "Who are you? You're uncomfortable about having this talk about what's going on with our women." And so, having said all of that, that's kind of my caveat to let me in, so that when I do say how I think some things have changed, that it's not me being naive to the things that have not changed and have gotten worse. So I look at one of the things that I noted was that women are now portrayed as more than mothers and slaves to men. It doesn't mean that people aren't still portraying that as well, but I see a lot more of them being portrayed as mothers and not as slaves. Not as just mothers and slaves to men. Even with something as powerful and potent Marvel and DC are billion-dollar companies. And when I look at how they did, how DC did Wonder Woman, and I look at how Captain Marvel, which is the kind of the Marvel version of Wonder Woman, some people would say that in reverse. One of the things I was really impressed and appreciated was that inside of that movie, in the Captain Marvel, so for those listeners who don't know, Captain Marvel was a superhero like Wonder Woman. She's from the Marvel universe. And one of the things that happened with her was she was getting ready to go out. She's already a superhero. She has she's the most powerful Marvel character that they have, and she was going to go fight. And her friend's daughter was there, and her friend's her friend was gonna go fight with her. And in most cases, I've always seen movies where the little kid, especially if it's a little girl, would say something like, "No, don't leave me, blah blah blah. Stay here. It's gonna be too dangerous. I'm gonna lose." And this little girl didn't do that. This little girl was like, "Yeah, heck yeah, go out there and fight and kick their butt and do this." And so when I see things like that, to me, it is an indication that people are paying attention to how we've been portraying. And in that movie, they didn't have a lot of damsels in distress. As a matter of fact, there were more men that were saved. Yeah. And I know that they were very intentional about that. So when I hear those kinds of things, it lets me know that change is in the making.
Yeah. I didn't even watch it.
I like that you even added that piece with the little girls not even asking, "Wait, no, please don't stay here." I love that.
Right.
Just those little innuendos, but they're not a little innuendo. It's huge.
It's big.
Because now a little girl will see that and say, "Okay, I don't have to cry for help and make sure that I'm protected here. I can go. Okay, yes, go out, save the world. Yes."
Exactly.
You're right.
I didn't even see those movies. Honestly.
Well, and I'm sure some of our listeners did, which is why I was like, let me just explain a little bit of the context. But most powerful character.
Well, the reason is it'll be a bit controversial, but I'm not interested in seeing women fight, period. Like, to me, that's not that entertaining.
You should have seen me at TV.
That stuff is just not like
the eye contact.
That's very because I don't even like violence. So when I see just people like getting shot up, I'm like, damn, that's crazy. But
so why women specifically? What
because
turns you off about
that's even
fighting?
less entertaining for me.
Why?
Yeah, that's just
dang.
It's just one of them things. Like if I want to see like WNBA, nobody
I knew
watches
you were gonna
that.
take it there.
Yeah, because
oh my god.
But nobody watches
like,
WNBA.
This is next.
In fact, women are the lowest viewers of WNBA. Older white men watch it more.
Because
like that could be true, but that's true. But that stuff is just not entertaining for me, man. Like,
but why? Do you know why it's not entertaining for you?
Yeah, because I don't like seeing women fighting for 2 hours. It's just not entertaining to me.
Why? Because they don't get aggressive enough in
No,
comparison
it just
to
doesn't.
a male.
It's
fighting?
like it's just not entertaining.
Okay.
Like it's some things that it draws my attention.
Yeah.
Some things just don't.
So are you telling me that if we had the same situation, the exact same movie, and you just interchanged the actors from women to men, you would watch the men version?
I'll be more inclined to.
But there's a reason.
Right.
Yeah, I'm sure there is.
And it's like, it's so subconscious.
I'm not denying that.
Right?
Yeah, definitely. I just don't. Nah. I'm not. I mean, there's some things you just, like you said, when you grow up, you're just trained that way. So I'm not lying and saying, "Oh yeah, I did." What? No, I didn't, and I'm not entertained by that stuff.
That's
like if it was
I like a good fight. If it was two crispity old women fighting,
crispity.
No. Here's the what I will say is I don't like to watch the fighting as much when in that World Star version of it. In terms of I don't like watching
fights.
Ignorance and how that's perpetuated. Although, when I'm with, I don't know if I'm around my sons or little cousins and they put it on and I see it, can I get trapped into it? Of course I can.
Like Jerry Springer.
But like Jerry Springer, I can get trapped into it. But generally, I don't. That's not clickbait for me. So I'm not gonna go try to click on just women fighting. But then there's this other part. So I'm really fascinated that you said that when I look at, without necessarily telling the whole world, when I look at the age difference, when I think about when I was a younger guy, a lot younger, they had that Glow, which now that's like, they have this movie on Netflix, but it was Glow, which is like WWE, for women. And I used to enjoy it, but I didn't.
Snickering,
But
he
here's the
can't help
thing. Here's the thing. I will be honest in saying I didn't enjoy it because I didn't enjoy it for the same reason I enjoyed watching the men fight. I enjoyed watching the men fight because I enjoyed the whole rough testosterone expression.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And for the women, when I watched
Mud
it,
wrestling with no mud.
I like seeing the shapes and the
things
and there was a sexual. I'm just being honest, and I'm just being honest and heterosexual. I appreciate
keeping it heterosexual right now.
I appreciated that part. I knew that both wrestlings were fake.
Yeah.
But I appreciate it now. But then when I think about professional, when I think about like Ali. Tatiana Ali?
Yeah.
Right? No, that's not her.
That's
That's
Layla
the other
Ali.
one.
Oh,
Layla
Tatiana
Ali.
Ali.
Sorry.
Talking about fighters. I thought you were talking about the daughter.
Talking about that's her.
I meant
How would you know? You don't like
Layla
women
Ali.
fighting.
I know Layla Ali.
And when I watched her, as well as what's the one from UFC?
Oh.
That
They don't know. They
The-
thought
the
Tatiana
recent one?
Ali was Layla.
Wait,
No, Ronda.
Ronda Rousey.
Ronda.
Oh, yeah.
I enjoy watching those fights, and I enjoy watching it on the same. I enjoy watching
do you
those
feel?
as human. I've enjoyed watching it just as much as I enjoyed watching men fight. Obviously, if I were to compare it, I couldn't compare it because there's been a longer history of men fighting. So then
Yeah.
there's a lot more superstars that are men.
Yeah.
Yes.
But I did enjoy it in that way. But I'm older, and it felt like. To me, Glow was designed to show sexiness, as
Yeah,
opposed
it was.
to
It 100%
Layla Ali was on there to kick your
Look at the name
to kick your
Glow.
class.
Never heard of
it's
Glow.
called Glow. you
Yeah,
know?
Glow.
Whereas WWE, it's like WWE Worldwide Wrestling. Like this is
Well,
this is
but
dope.
is it how you saying it? You
But-
want-
okay,
what,
but-
what if I say, hey,
husky
welcome to Glow?
Yeah, deep in her
But
voice.
okay, but when you say glow, when you
Wow.
say glow, like glow, even just look at how WWE look at the actual symbol of it. It has hard edges. It has those colors. It has a different color. And then even just the word glow, just looking at those two differences, it's given to you on a different platter.
But should it?
Yeah, it was exploiting women.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's
but
what that was
Yes.
for,
I mean,
for sure.
Yes.
Are not men more, like, natively more aggressive?
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, yeah, in nature.
that's not something that's
Physically,
disputable.
you
Yeah,
mean
like
physically aggressive.
yeah, natively, like we're born that way. So I don't think that's
Born aggressive? Or
born more
with a tendency?
aggressive
Oh,
in
gotcha.
comparison to women. Yeah, I don't
Well, the
think that's
testosterone.
right. Yeah, so natively, it's not
But I
something
think
that's
that
like,
women can get just as aggressive physically if they can push themselves to that point.
Yeah, if they can
And
push themselves.
I think maybe the reason why you don't really enjoy watching women fight is because it's usually super sexualized, and maybe you just don't get entertained by that. Because like you'll see a woman fight, and even like Undercover Brother. I don't know if you've ever seen that movie,
Yeah.
but like the women were fighting and their clothes were ripping off, and they're just like, whew, and they had
Yeah.
like cute little sexy little catchphrases in the middle. But when you see a man on man fight, it's like they're punching each other in the face, they're bleeding, but.
And also like look at the outfits that they give women.
Yeah.
Look at the physique.
Oh, yeah.
Even look at the
Wait,
mu-
wait,
but-
wait,
but-
wait, wait,
but
wait,
no,
wait,
no,
wait,
but no, but
wait,
what
wait, wait.
Wait,
Those
I
guys
want to
on
be able.
WWE.
I want to. No,
They're
what I'm
long
talking about.
thumbs.
I'm
They
talking
are.
about what we
They
were
do
talking
steroids.
about earlier. Was you don't want to watch. You said I don't want to watch women fight for 2 hours. We're talking about a film now, so that's what we're on. So
but you
in a
just
film,
brought up-
but in a film, 90% of the time. 90% of the time, if you look at a woman that is fighting in a film, they make her. Go ahead and look at Scarlett Johansson. Look at the interviews that she had to do. And look at the questions that were asked to her. How many times? And she even called him out.
Yeah,
Why do
she
y'all
did.
keep asking me if I have underwear on? Do you ask him that? No, you don't, because what you're looking at is something different at me when you're seeing me fight versus him when he's just he gets to just fight. But with me, you got to add on the sexuality, that I have curves, that I have a tight whatever the heck it is on my body. And so it's no longer just about the actual thing that it is, it's about everything else that's around it and that's been perpetuated for a very long time. So when we talk about WNBA and how people don't watch it as much as they do NBA, which is a fact, now we look at, okay, well, NBA, it started first, correct?
Yeah.
Right, so it was continued to be a man thing, and then women came into play. So now it's like, well, now we're going to compare the two. So if we're already going on this trajectory of men, and men are the ones that are physical, they're more aggressive, it's more fun and it's more entertaining to watch that. And that's what's been around since the beginning of time, pretty much, is the men get to do that. Now it's that much harder for women to be in that same arena, to be able to do the same thing and to get the same reaction, the same entertainment factor.
There's certain industries where I feel like they do, like women's soccer. Women's soccer is actually super popular. I work at, I guess I'll tell you guys I wasn't going to, but I work at Gap Inc., so Gap headquarters. And
don't be saying company's name that's not paying us for airtime out loud, Tiana.
Sorry. Well, I work for bleep, bleep, bleep. And these people, they were just requesting for the Women's World Cup back to back to be played, because in my department, like, we oversee certain things like that. But yeah, like, Women's World Cup is actually really popular, and women soccer players get way more aggressive on the field than a male soccer player, I would say.
Let me ask you this: Why do you think that if what Julius said is true?
Yeah.
When earlier he said that the majority of people watching WNBA are men, and particularly white men. So my question is not why is it white men. My question, even though you said they nasty,
we can get into that too.
But what I really want to know is, why do you think more women aren't watching it?
Because it ain't cool. Oh, that was...
Well, not because it ain't gonna get out of here. Why don't you just leave the door?
I'm sorry, please.
The door.
Yeah.
I think that women aren't really raised up to engage in sports. I mean, it's kind of like I was talking about when in your upbringing, how your parents kind of coach you into certain things. I think women aren't as inclined to gravitate towards sports because from a young age we're not really taught to come and sit down and watch this basketball game. Like, do you see, this is a point guard, this is blah blah blah, here are the positions, like, let's be interested. Because I do know women that were raised like that, and they're very invested in the WNBA because they were raised to enjoy sports. But most of the time we're not really raised to engage in that. We're kind of taught to do other things, like mostly worry about our looks when you really want to think about it.
It's about what's encouraged. That's what I hear too. It's like what's encouraged from whoever raises us and our surroundings too. The things that are encouraged. In fact, if anything, I feel like I had to fight to be.
You said, "All my life I had to fight." Okay.
Oh wow!
But well, in actuality, I did in my household. I did. I mean, I was surrounded by men where. My dad was the person telling me, oh, you can't do it because you're a woman. Oh, you can't do it because you're a girl. And he knew that he would get a rise out of me because he knew how much I hated that. Yeah. Because he knew that I hated the fact that why can he do something? I can do it, if not better than you can. Yeah. And so it's not encouraged, these things, not just in the household. But then when I look on a TV, what's encouraged to me there? Just what you talked about earlier, T, about what our place is. Quote unquote.
Look cute.
Look cute. You're exotic. Look cute. I'm the power structure. I get to do what I want with you.
Yeah. Does that work in reverse? Like when you guys see, when you girls see,
it's fine.
When you see two men fighting in a movie, is there, and when I say that, I don't want you to think like, oh, two big buff dudes looking crazy out there, stupid fighting. Yeah. I mean, like, consider two men fighting in a movie that are sexy men.
Okay.
When you see two men fighting, is there any sexual, like, oh, look at that?
For me, no. The fighting itself, I personally don't agree with violence. Like Julie said, I don't. And I don't even prefer men fighting over women fighting. I don't give a dang. I don't care. It doesn't get a rise out of me sexually.
Whoa.
When I'm watching, what I do look at when they're fighting is I look at like his eyes.
What the
his
hell?
eyes
Why
and
you
his
looking at his
muscles.
eyes?
Look, wait. Let me explain this.
Look at his eyes. His eyes are black.
Have you ever seen the look in someone's eyes when they're about to fight? Like,
they
it's
look like
so,
they got that crazy look in their eyes.
Yes, and then their muscles. That's it. But I'm not excited
so
about.
Sounds a little like you excited. She said,
not
it
about
just
the fight. Not about
bit.
The fight.
No,
the fight
but
is like.
And I don't think when men are watching when they are fighting, when two women are fighting and they see some sexuality there, or they see some sexy curves, it's not necessarily the fight. It's the curves. So if you see two men fight and then you're looking at, so for instance, And I get what you're saying. Like first, I was like, "Look at the eyes," but then like my wife is looking at the drapes and something in the way in the back, and I'm looking.
I do
at
like that carpet.
You're right. You see that? I want one of those for my house. We gotta get. But that to say, I've also seen where when I'm going to these, I love DC and Marvel. When I go and I see Thor, right? When Thor first came out, soon as he took off his whatever to fight whatever monster, he got all kind of woos and like woo and all of that. And so I'm wondering.
That's what that right there. It's not about, and I'm glad that you said he took his shirt off, because every freaking time they have to take their jacket off, they have to they reveal a part of their body that wasn't there before most of the time, because you need to be able to move your arm to punch somebody. Right? Mm-hmm. So now we see an extra muscle. Now we see an extra whatever the heck. And there's a look in their eye. So if they could have that when they're just walking down the street, I'm going to look at that too when they're just walking down the street. But it has nothing to do with the actual fighting itself. The connection of like, ooh, dang, you punched him nice. Ooh, yes.
Is that different than men? I guess I'm trying to say. I'm trying to discern where the difference is.
Because if he took his shirt off, they're trying to sexualize him, right?
Because sex sells.
Like Batman, you can see his pecs, all that stuff in his suit.
That's
why
true.
they
There's no need to see the
look that way.
I'm just saying, like that's sexualization.
Well, it's different. It's different than two women tangling,
the memory
though.
of some of these things.
I'm saying like it's contextual.
Like you're getting it's not just because it's 90 degrees in here. You look like you're getting.
No, it's super contextual. I think that I can enjoy a fight between two men and like being turned on by the act of them just fighting, depending on what they're fighting over. Because that's like where women were trained to like think deeper about things. So it's like, ooh, he's fighting for love. Like, I don't know. So that's what. That can turn me on, depending on what.
Are there two men in your mind?
Two men I would like to see fight.
Assuming
that would turn me on.
Oh my goodness!
Right. You don't have, I'm not asking you who those two men would.
Okay.
You're thinking of who right now.
Okay, I am.
One man can fight himself if he's naked. It seems like you about to say.
That's enough for me.
But there is okay. So it sounds like
it just depends on the context. It depends on what they're fighting over, because there's things that are like honorable, and I'm just like, dang. But like, just simply two men fighting is not going to immediately spark anything for me.
Yeah, well, I agree when it comes to women.
Yeah, but you don't.
It's different now.
It is different.
But when I watch women,
actually have
I'm not entertained. But when y'all watch men,
but you're entertained by men aggression and not women aggression.
No, I'm not more. I'm just less entertained because I don't like that anyway.
Wait, more or less? That's the same.
If you less entertained, that implies you're more.
In comparison, like I don't like it. Period. But I'm just very not intrigued by women fighting. That doesn't mean it's like I'm really intrigued. That doesn't mean I'm about to go watch a movie tonight. Of Jason Statham beat up Bruce Willis just because it's two men. Yeah. But it's just.
But the fact that you prefer one over the other is what we're saying.
Yeah.
What's your favorite movie genre?
I don't know. I like those kind of movies that make you think.
Although you didn't.
Like what? Like Get Out and stuff?
Get Out was good.
Okay. You're a philosophical brother. Okay. Whatever.
If y'all want to chime in on this topic, y'all can give us a call at 502-509-5229. Again, 502-509-5229.
502-509-5229. You know why we said it 3 times? Because if you're like me, you're that person in the car where even though it was said once or twice, you were looking for your pen. You were looking for, which you shouldn't be looking on your pen if you're driving. You should pull over. I don't know. Do what you do. But be safe while doing it. But yeah, once again, that's 502-509-5229. Go ahead and give us a call and make a concern or comment.
You know what's interesting is how this topic is like spiraled into but what if you see these two men fight? I mean, what if you see two women fighting? It's interesting because it's even the simplest things which aren't so simple, but it can be hidden in how a woman is talked to on a movie, right? I will say romance dramas. That's one of the biggest genres there are for film. And so many times I just watched a movie again just to rewatch and see it, and they'll just be so demeaning to a woman with one word of no, and put the hand up as to not talk. No. But the moment that you talk, boy, it's okay. We got a caller right here on the line. Welcome. Hi, how you doing?
I'm doing fantastic. How you guys doing?
I'm well, thank you. What is your name, good sir?
My name is Hannah. You may know me. I just wanted to call in, tell you guys I'm enjoying the show.
Welcome
I really
back.
don't have nothing to add to it, though.
Thank
Y'all
you.
doing a great job. Keep doing what you do.
Appreciate it.
Appreciate you.
I'm surprised you have
wanna
nothing to
give a
say.
shout out?
You said what?
Anybody you want to shout out?
Oh,
What is that old? They look at people in the
He just
studio
said,
looking at me like, do people still shout out people? Is that an old thing or what?
yeah, you caught me off guard. I like to shout out anybody that's feeling good today. Feeling good, shout out to you.
That's
All
what's up.
right, good stuff, man. And thanks for calling in.
Thank you.
Thanks.
All right.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
He got,
Here's what I wonder. So, because I don't, it hasn't came up yet, and I was actually trying to wait to bring it up because I wanted to let it naturally occur, and then I was just going to already be prepared.
Is this your sexual thing that you want?
It's not my sex is gonna be
okay.
not yet.
Okay, I'm just asking.
Wow, people are ready for sex in here.
I thought you were you actually wanted to talk about it. Got it.
Oh yeah, no, I don't.
No,
I
yeah,
don't
we
mind.
will be, but not yet.
Shawty, I don't.
I'm looking at reality shows,
Okay.
and so when I think about the Julius over there, he start doing his hands.
He
like
got
this.
the Birdman hands,
Yeah.
right?
I was hoping that was, yeah, reality shows. And one of the things is, so I've went through some of these things is gonna maybe take some people by surprise. Maybe not. We'll see. But I remember thinking about, and particularly like love and hip hop and all these different ones. And like yourself, I hate to give kind of credit to some of these places or shows by even mentioning their names, but it is what it is. It's okay. And here's the thing. When I think about some of those shows, okay, on one hand, I remember when I don't want to say when they first came out because that takes us way back to Real World and on MTV and it was a different story then. But when I think about most recently, I think of Love and Hip Hop and Housewives of this and that and all those things. And there's a part in that that I'm like, well, for women, it feels like it is a lot of what's going on there is degrading.
Mm. Yeah.
Before I finish with that and say anything startling, because I plan to, what are both of your thoughts, or all of, not like you can't chime in too, Julius, but Tiana
apparently
and
Julius
Mariah,
is excited about this.
Yeah, I want to see where you guys go with it first.
Come on, Pinky Ring.
And then, what are your thoughts, Tiana and Mariah?
First.
Okay.
Because I'm about that
Well,
life.
as far as reality shows, there has been a lot of reality shows based off of being someone's wife. First of all, Basketball Wives, Real Housewives of New York, Orange County, Atlanta, LA. They go around the world with this. So that's interesting. But they are the wives of athletes and celebrities, and I guess it's arguable that they weren't really doing much with their lives prior. But it's just interesting how they based a whole reality series around that concept. And I think that in general, the way women are portrayed in those reality TV shows is kind of ridiculous, but they kind of play into that. They're kind of a little bit told what to say or how to act, and they have their roles that they need to play, and they know how to get views. But I don't in any way accept that as reality or the real world, and I'm able to separate myself from that. And I know that there's some people that actually really will take that as the real world, and that's when it becomes a problem. But I don't see it as a problem in general because I think it's entertainment.
Julius, I'm intrigued with why you're so excited. I would love to hear.
wasn't that excited.
I want to hear this. I want to hear
I don't
why.
have much to say.
Yeah, it's kind of based off like what.
He looked so stoked to be talking about this. I was like, okay, why? I think every platform is what you give to it or how you believe. So if you come from a place where you don't even understand that there are perpetuated gender norms and roles, then why would you think to do otherwise? So there's that. And then also it's not to say that there's no one it's not that you're even less than because you're not doing that. It's just where you're at in your moment, in your space, in your time, in your life. Because wonderful things can come from it too. So
Look at Cardi.
Huh?
Look at Cardi.
Cardi, yeah.
Is that wait? Is that a wonderful thing? Because some would argue that not only do the women give a bad depiction of, or in some cases, of women, and then if we want to go into subcultures, then of women of color, et cetera, but some not only would say that they are giving a bad name or a bad depiction of women, particularly of color, but also some when they leave that in the way like Cardi B did, then some would say that even what she's doing now is continuing to perpetuate women as sex objects and all of these other things. Because I mean, we've seen Cardi B videos, and she's pretty nudely divine.
I don't think she's portraying women as sex objects. I think maybe some people are taking it as that. I think that she's more so vouching for sexual freedom and liberation and ownership of her body, and not being afraid to be a sexual being and being a woman, and not being afraid of being in the was a prior sex worker in the sex industry. I think that maybe some people are taking that as that she's a sexual object, but that's kind of their personal lives reflecting on her. But I don't know if that's what she's putting out.
Yeah, and I, like I said just before this, she is who she is, right? So if that's what she wants to walk in, if that's what she wants, go ahead, Cardi B, go ahead. She also is making it known to use her voice. So there's things that seem to be as if she's continuing that perpetuation. Although I think that it is separate in that she does talk about a woman speaking her mind, and she is the breadwinner. She does make her money, and she does do all these things that women were not, have not been shown throughout generation and generation and generation. So I think that she's just expressing herself how she will. And so that's what she's doing with how she dresses, how she sings, how she wears her hair, how she does her nails. Yeah. But that's to each their own. They can dress however they want to. Now, if they feel like this is the way that I am supposed to dress, this is what I'm supposed to do, I'm supposed to just wear my nails all nice, then that's different. If it's a role where she feels like she must do this in order to be a woman, that's different. Yeah. I don't feel like she's doing that. I feel like she's just being her, period.
Agreed.
Do you feel different?
No, I mean, I feel like here's what I really feel. I feel like if she does the video, when Cardi B does, as Cardi B has done videos, I look at it and I enjoy let me just back all the way up further than that. When I hear Cardi B songs, I'm not a big fan of Cardi B's music in general, not having nothing to do with her. But there are some of those songs that she has done, like Victim Bloody Move. What's that one? Victim Bloody Move. I love that one. I love that one. And but what I will say is, okay, I like that song. I loved it. But then when I saw the video, I loved watching her move her body and all the various ways her body was seen in it.
Yeah.
She knows what she's doing. I
loved looking at her and checking her out. And so my thing is, what I felt like coming into the day was I felt like some of the things that I enjoy looking at, viewing, taking part in that have to do with women, I came in thinking that I was going to be, I don't want to say heckled, because I don't think you guys would have heckled me, but I felt like I would have been, I felt like some of it would be considered misogynistic or part of what keeps women being looked at a certain way, because I look at women in certain contexts a certain way. Yeah. But what I'm hearing instead is there's nothing wrong with the sexualization of women as long as the woman is in control.
Yeah, definitely. I mean,
I have a different comment than that, though. But
okay.
Well, sexualization, I feel like is kind of insinuates something negative for me. Sexualization of women. I would say that there's nothing wrong with women being, women being just sexually liberated and in control sexually, as long as it's perceived correctly as is. I think that, like I said, the issue lies within the viewer or the consumer, whether the consumers take it and they see it as an objectification or see it as, oh, you're just trying to, you're an object. You're trying to appeal to men, and it's like not necessarily.
But
Being
wait,
objectified.
wait.
Well,
But it is though.
I mean,
because watch this. Here's the formula for success on a reality show. You get a bunch of women, make sure that there is enough of them that are considered attractive by society's norms.
Yeah.
You put a bunch of alcohol in there in front of them.
Make them fight.
And then you don't even have to make them after that.
Yeah.
They'll do it on their own.
But that's
after
exactly the issue.
So you put them in part. So to me, it's absolutely what's selling it. Is the over sexualization, the drama, the
which is the issue.
That's what I thought would be the issue.
And so that's why that's why my thing to that is a woman is who she is. She chooses that. Period. She chooses what she wears. She chooses how she thinks. How she views herself. That's her. That's all her. We all find someone attractive in this world. You can be attracted to whoever the heck you want. Objectifying someone is a completely different issue. Just because whoever she is, she wants to go ahead and if she wants to walk down the street and wear a thong and say, I love Jesus and I like dropping down on the pole. That's her. But that gives no other person the right to objectify her because of that.
But she's not playing that role, though?
Someone should get...
There is no role. There's no role.
Nah,
That's
there
the
is.
thing.
Because if a woman knows what the perception is of her, or of that thing...
And see, that's it. That's it.
Okay. So if a woman knows the perception of that thing that she's doing, and then is doing that thing, but because she did it willingly, that means we can't think that thing.
You can.
Okay,
yeah.
so that's all I'm saying.
I mean,
so like when we bring up actors who are, you don't see Viola Davis wearing all of these things that Scarlett Johansson.
That's her choice.
No, that's because she didn't give that option to them. She has control of her body.
Oh,
She has control of her in
On
her
a
movies. Yeah,
movie,
so
I see
Scarlett
what you're saying.
Johansson.
Okay.
You have all of these women who are being sexualized. Now, if they didn't want to do that, don't take the role.
Yeah, but
Angela Bassett said, Bassett said, I'm not going to show my breasts. That's why she turned down that Swordfish role. Halle Berry showed her breasts. Then she got an Oscar for it. Angela Bassett said, I'm not doing that.
But here's the issue. We're talking about a Band-Aid, but we're talking about, we need to go before that. The issue is why they're even thinking. The issue is that.
So if y'all just said, if a chick does this willingly, it's good. But that's perpetuating that whole idea that men have on y'all. So if Halle Berry takes her shirt off, y'all like, oh, that's free, that's cool.
Yeah.
And then she gets an Oscar for that. That's the formula to get an Oscar. That's the formula to be rewarded.
I mean,
but then you see Angela Bassett, who's arguably the best woman actor of our generation. She ain't never did that.
I mean, I mean, she's played roles. Hasn't necessarily taken off her clothes like that, but she's always been a sexy woman. She's been a strong. She just look good.
She was in.
She does.
Wasn't she in a movie on Netflix where she had like 3 breasts or something like that? Some kind of sci-fi movie called with the clowns and the.
Look it up.
You
talking about American Horror?
American Horror. Didn't she have her 4 breasts or?
I don't watch that, but
I did.
They were. I think it was like she had 3
breasts.
or 4. I think they were all nice ones.
Well, the issue. Okay, so the reason why I feel so strongly and passionately about this is because I deal with this. This is what I'm dealing with. Like me pursuing acting. This is the crap I deal with. So the problem lies in the fact that it's so ingrained in the subconscious of our society. It's been passed down for so many freaking years that we have to get it out of it. That's what we have to change. So that way there aren't any castings where there isn't even an inclination to say, hi, can you make sure that are you comfortable getting completely naked so that you can have sex in a scene? It's not, or can you make
sure? Is that a fair question?
No, that's fine. And then saying, you can only be this size, you can only wear this thong, and it doesn't call for a thong. Like, that's not a part of the characterization, that's not a part of anything. It's just because you simply want to see a woman's body being objectified. That's the issue. It's that right there. So if it's part of this person's character, if it's part of who they are, if that's what you came to, but if it doesn't, and you need a certain size to fit in a certain micro miniature thing that you wouldn't have a man do if it was the same role just switched, that's the issue, is getting to the root of that problem.
So let me make sure I understand. So as long as the request is something equal, something that will be asked of a man and a woman, then that's fine. Even if it's an objectifying ask,
it's not
as long as it's as long as they would object a man to the same thing as the woman would be.
It should, first of all, it shouldn't be objectifying. Period. Whether it's a man or woman, whoever the heck it is, shouldn't be objectifying. Next, is it necessary for this person? Is it necessary? And I mean, a stripper is gonna wear a certain thing, so yes, it's necessary. But if it's a house, a mom, and she's working at the house, why is she wearing that? Now you're objectifying her. Now you're doing it for that reasons. And then thirdly, what would you have it be the same for a man and a woman? And why, if not, why? And making sure that those questions isn't because it's a woman. So those are the three things.
Yeah,
I wonder how much of that has to do with. How often, and again, just keep in mind what I said at the very beginning of this, but I wonder how much of that has to do with a man, so we know sex sells.
Yeah.
Right? So sex sells, and
always
sexiness sells. Mm-hmm. And it sounds like we made some forms of agreement, not 100%, that both sexes are being objectified, one more than the other.
Yeah.
Women are being objectified more.
Mm-hmm.
But I also wonder what women's part in that is. Because here's why I'm saying that. And this is not me blaming the victim.
Yeah, go ahead.
This is me saying that I've seen, why are there no successful reality shows
without sexy
women in it? And not only that, but most of the reality shows are supported, and the majority of their fans are also women.
I just think reality shows is its own world. That's the world that they want to put out. And when you come into watching a reality show, you know what you're going to get. Like those things that you listed earlier, that's what you're going to get out of a reality TV show. And if you're seeking those things, you're going to watch a reality TV show.
And look at the executive producers. Look at the people who are behind this. Most of the people are white, older men, and they have the money. And so what are they going to produce? Oh, I don't want to hear that thing about some intellectual beings that are brown and colorful women. No, that's not what intrigues me. Is I want to see these things. So look at who's providing the money first off, and look at who are the people, the quote unquote gatekeepers. It is so hard. I want to say this quote by Amy Poehler, because it is so hard to get as a woman, and especially if you're brown, color, whatever you would like to call yourself.
Color.
Of color.
He said, hold up.
Of color.
You say colored?
Minority, whatever you would like to call yourself, or if you call yourself anything, how hard it is to get your foot in the quote-unquote door, and if you don't want to do that, slam it down and build your own door. So Amy Poehler said it takes years as a woman to unlearn what you have been taught to be sorry about. Now, I say that because we're being taught that we have any option in the world, we can do anything. No, that's not what it's about. A huge portion of what is being taught is how to be sorry for what you've done wrong, that you are being a bitch by doing this, excuse my language, and not to use your voice, and here's what your role is. So when someone like Jen Caton, I hope I'm saying your name right, Jen Caton Robinson, she made the movie Someone Great on Netflix. And the leading roles, there's 3 different colors of women on the show. It's brown, darker brown, and white. The main person is brown. She's Latinx, and she the whole time she wears this shirt that says Latin AF. And then her best friend, her best friend is black, and then she is she's gay or lesbian, and she has a white friend. Now, I've never seen, this is written and directed by a woman. And look at the roles in which that they are the leading roles, and they're making a story about best friends and how it's after a breakup. It's not about finding another man and, oh, woe is me. It's no, we got our best friends, and look at us. Look at us empower ourselves through our own power. Let's lift each other up. Let's show each other how great your next chapter is going to be. That's the first time I've ever seen a story like that, told like that, with women who look like that. Ever. The first time. And it's not even getting that much clout. It is by some people. Taylor Swift talked about it, but I don't hear it in the media like, yo, look at what was just done.
Is it a good show?
It's a movie. And yeah, it's a good movie.
Never heard of it.
It's a good movie.
Let me ask you this question, or all of you, but specifically you, Mariah. If because of your knowledge of movie and film and that kind of thing as a producer and director, etc. If a woman was directing, and forgive me if I'm using director when I should use producer or one of the others, just roll with it.
Yeah.
If a woman is directing a movie and there's a scene and there's a sex scene and it was between two women, and initially how the scene went is it just did something to allude to the sex scene, right? So they went in the room, the door closed, there was some music, they blow out the candle, and so you know that something happened, right? They wake up on each other's wherever they would wake up that would look like they just had sex. And then she thought to herself, you know what? The director, that is, you know what? Let's just go ahead and make this a real passionate love scene between these two women having sex. Now, once again, me as the, with where my sex interest lies, to me, that would be very arousing, right? Okay, so then this happens, and now let's take that same scenario and say it was a man. And a man, but not, no, that's not where, I mean, did I say no wrong? Not no, like, now, but no, that's not.
Like a heterosexual sexual
the same, just the director is now a male.
Oh, the director is now a male.
So the same situation, but now the director is a male. And same thing happened. It was music, saw music, door closed, and it was going to be that. And he changed his mind. He was like, yeah, let's show them really having this passionate sex scene. Would that now, from a woman's perspective, would that now be considered, what would be the difference there?
I just think it depends on the director. I feel like there would be some men that would maybe inaccurately capture a woman on woman sex, and then I think as long as a man does their research, whatever that entails, and they capture it accurately, I think it's perfectly okay.
I agree, and I also think with the actor, it matters on that too. So every actor is different, every person's different, right? So one person might be willing to do the first part, where it's just blowing out the candle, whereas the second part they're not willing to do. So that might jeopardize now their job. Because if they put that in their agreement, I'm not willing to do this, now we have a director who's not respecting it. Now that's where the issues lie. And I think whether it's a woman or a man, if a person isn't respecting somebody's boundaries, period, that's where the issue lies too, is the boundaries of what was already like established. If that person isn't willing to do that, and then just seeing like the creative why, not why as in like I'm questioning you why, but like, okay, so let's see, is this really something that will affect in the way that you want, or like how can we make this best effect, or are you just doing it because you want to see some girl on girl action? Like, so it's the intention of the heart of like why you're creatively doing this, because that's what this is. It's a creative space,
but you don't really know what the intention of the heart of the person, because even that woman that did it may be a turn on and arousal for her. So I guess I'm wondering, have you noticed that it feels to me that in some cases, I don't want to say many, but certainly in some cases that, or is there let's change that. Is there a such thing as women objectifying women? So it's all, is there such thing?
Anyone can
women do that all the time.
So then I'm wondering,
women can be just as bad as men in that.
It seems like
I've been
potentially,
by women.
I'm going to tread this water lightly.
Aggressive.
Maybe worse. Because is it being questioned when so I look at you guys familiar with Mona Scott Young?
Yeah.
And Mona Scott Young, of course, is the
She created Love and Hip Hop. Right?
Yeah, the franchise though. So when people say that, they think, well, she created Love and Hip Hop, and then they think of one of them. She created Love and Hip Hop Atlanta, or Love and it's a franchise. She created all of them, and
like Shawnee O'Neal with the
it's part of Monami Entertainment, best known for the production of VH1 reality television franchise Love and Hip Hop, and so. I feel like my opinion of that is that without knowing what her intents are, with just knowing what I'm seeing on TV, is to me, it feels like she is absolutely
consciously
objectifying women in this way. Many of the women in these shows are smart enough to not be tricked, and they know what they're getting into, and they know that they can flip it into something that's into some more dollar signs.
Yes.
So like Candy Burris is a perfect example. Candy knew what she was doing. She knew, like, I'm going to get in this, and I'm going to make extra money. I'm going to allow for certain exploitation so I could take that and flip it and turn it into something larger. Yep. And a lot of them are doing that. So like, I accept this exploitation just for this amount of time, so that I can now turn this into something bigger. But does that help the bigger picture? When someone accepts, I feel like as a black man, if somebody black accepts a certain amount of jigaboo treatment, if they accept a certain amount of it, then there's part of me that feels like, well, I don't know. Just tell me what you think about that.
I mean, I think that I stand by, when you come to reality TV shows, you know exactly what you're going to get. And I think that people need to look at it as nothing more than entertainment. And that's hard. It's hard because there's some people that accept that as reality. But maybe if they, because it is called reality television, but if they emphasize that it's not real life, then that would be way better. That would be acceptable for me, because these people are playing characters at the end of the day. Cardi on Love and Hip Hop is not exactly who Cardi is in real life. She was playing a role. She was playing this villain.
Which we would hope that they would say, again, this is just reality TV, but it's not reality, and we're emphasizing things. And I also want to point back to a couple of weeks ago, we mentioned this, is you can choose if you want to go greater picture, or do you want to just go right now and what you're feeling right now in this moment, and you're not looking at the bigger picture. That's up to each person, right? So in her case, she wasn't thinking about that big picture of perhaps of I don't want to continue the perpetuation. She wasn't thinking that.
She was trying to get her back.
She was thinking, right, that's what she was thinking.
Love and Hip Hop is overproduced Jerry Springer.
But myself,
it's the modern day Jerry Springer. I mean, we know, looking back on it, that Jerry Springer, those people were paid to get there. I mean, some of their stories were exaggerated, and I guess some of them were real at some point. But eventually, it just became a show. It just became entertainment, and I think it's the same thing for Love and Hip Hop. I mean, maybe, hopefully, eventually down the line, we'll realize that is pure entertainment.
But Jerry Springer's show,
perpetuation, though,
it hurt. I mean, how do I want to say it was exactly this. It was exactly perpetuating the wrong stereotypes
specifically in the black community. Right?
He destroyed what baby mama initially meant. He single-handedly made baby mama mean something negative.
Yeah.
It didn't necessarily mean that before. He single-handedly made gay people or people from that particular community seem like they're all this flamboyant, so he kind of did that.
Yeah.
So if we're going to compare that, then is that not what she's doing? By she, I mean Mona Scott with these Love and Hip Hop shows. Is that not what she's doing?
I think she's doing that for some people, because she's perpetuating that in general. Yes, the short answer is yes, but I'm saying there's an issue. There's only an issue when the audience, the consumer, is not accepting it as just entertainment, when they're starting to accept that as real life. That's where the issue.
I personally think that I think especially women, like we have it sucks, and I don't. That's what sucks about. Why is it our duty that we have to make sure that the perpetuation isn't continued? Well, for me, this is what I say: if someone else isn't going to do it, then I'll do it. So I take a stand in trying to make sure that I'm constantly learning and growing and making sure I'm deconstructing the toxic stuff that's been taught to me. So I don't want to see that happen again. Now, if other women aren't doing the same thing, it's going to continue too with just them. We're just talking about them personally. Other things need to change so that way that doesn't continue too.
Yeah,
and so why take your part in it? Why would you take your part? My question, why would you take your part in continuing that perpetuation, especially as a woman? Especially as a woman, and you have the cards in your hand. Do something else with it. Do something that makes us propel.
Are you talking about from the perspective of people who participate in the show, or are you talking about like Mona Scott?
I'm talking about if anybody.
Because for people who participate in the show, like specifically,
I'm talking about anybody. Period. Like
for actors, if you have, though, like these people, some of these people are has-beens, so they're seeing that as their comeback.
And I get
like Joe Budden, he has a podcast now, and it's very successful, very good. But he regrets even being on Love and Hip Hop in the first place. But at the time, he was a has-been. He got that one song, "Pump It Up," and then he went on Love and Hip Hop, and he kind of made a fool of himself. And then that was his like get out. And then specifically for Cardi, she was trying to make her music career take off. She was a stripper. She's from the Bronx. I had a roommate who's from the Bronx and said that the housing complex that Cardi B lived in, the housing project, is one of the worst housing projects in the Bronx. So she's like, I'm just trying to get this bag. I'm trying to get my family out of the housing project, out of the Bronx.
Right.
So she's like, whatever I got to do to get this bag, which is why she started stripping at a young age, which is why she started making music, and then she went on Love and Hip Hop. So I think that Mona Scott essentially is just taking advantage of people who don't have a lot of money or resources.
And that's it right there, taking advantage. And that's the issue, is like knowing that there are other ways to do this.
Yeah,
there are other ways.
Because nobody's taking accountability. Yeah. You got all these people who's literally perpetuating the idea that we're talking about are women.
Yeah.
But nobody go say, well, women shouldn't be doing this. We go flip it and be like, well, society made this. Nah, women are being paid to do that. Take accountability for
they're
it.
taking the job.
Yeah, that's blood money. So if you just see tons of black people just shucking and jiving, the perception is going to be all black people are shucking and jiving.
Yeah.
Black people had to stand up and be like, nah, I ain't doing that no more.
Mm-hmm.
They had to take accountability, be like, nah, I'm not doing that no more.
So what do you think that will balance that out?
I think good question.
Yeah.
The balance.
You just got to say no. You can do. Viola Davis don't be doing it, and she's one of the best.
No, so he loves saying
no, because there's a point to that. Because it's a point to that. Nah, it's a point. Because if she said no, they go say no. What's up?
Well,
I'll tell you what. I think the answer is in that question. Is simply this.
Yeah.
As long as don't keep circling that with. Okay, look. I'll say this, and then we're gonna move forward. But I think that the more people who are able to notice these perpetuations and do something about it, the more okay it is for. There's variety. So in other words, if you only think of black movies as shucking and jiving. And that's all that there is available, because the theaters won't carry. It used to be a time when black movies, and there's still a time, depending where you are in this world, that they won't show certain movies. They'll only show black people acting the buffoon or the violent movies, and that still happens in certain places in the world right now. Not necessarily this country specifically, but other countries. And so I think that when there's variety, well, then it doesn't matter if there's a few of them that are shucking and jiving, because now once you're showing us as holistic, you're showing us as doctors and Lord, that's why the Cosby Show at that time was so important, because the father was a doctor and the mother was a lawyer.
Yeah.
Right? And then she said something on one of those episodes. Claire Huxtable was the mother on there. She said something. It was a very important episode. She was there, and their stepson, he was like, "You're in there cooking for him." And he said something to the extent of like, "That's what you're supposed to be in there doing." And she said something back. No, she's like, "I'm doing it because I enjoy doing this for my husband, but not because I have to."
Yeah.
Just because. So I think that when there's a balance of showing women in these different roles, just like we mentioned the Marvel and all of the different Viola Davis, when we're showing them in this role, then there's a balance of, okay, so when they're seemingly exploited over here, that's not the only depiction. So then it seems like there may be a balance that can be achieved by that.
But we're not going to be talking about the other one. We're only going to be talking about the reality shows. We're only going to be talking about all
Well,
that
because
other stuff.
there's like Insecure Issa Rae. I read her Issa Rae's memoir, and Issa Rae, one of her main goals of producing that show Insecure is to portray Black women in a different light, and just that we go through normal everyday problems just like everyone else. Like, yes, a lot of it has to do with the dating world, but you got Molly, who's a lawyer. She's maneuvering the world as a Black woman at a mostly white firm. Eventually she moves to a Black firm, and she has to maneuver herself as a Black woman in a Black firm. But like, these are regular problems. And she said in her book, she said that she wants people to empathize with Black women and not in a way that they have to have gone through a tragedy. Like in the movie Precious, like she had to give birth to a baby that was mentally ill. She had to have 2 parents that like messed her up inside, an abusive mom. She had to be living in extreme poverty. Exactly. But she said she didn't want you to feel sorry for a Black woman because of things like that. She wanted you to feel sorry for us because we go through things just like you, the same exact problems you go through, changing to a new job, not getting paid as much as we deserve, and I don't know, different things like that. And I think that the balance is important. Like you said, I don't mind having the Love and Hip Hops. I don't watch that stuff anyway, but having the balance of the Insecures, a Black Lady sketch TV show, and things like that is important.
And I think that's perfect to go into this. There's a spoken word by Madiha Bati, and if I'm mispronouncing your name, I apologize for that. Madiha Bati has a spoken word, and I want to share that with y'all right now.
It's real dope. KCBZradio.com. This is Situation and Circumstance. Give us a call at 510.
He done forgot. Look at him. Look at him. 5. He's doing his own phone number.
Log on to KCBZradio.com and check the schedule for Situation and Circumstance Live, complete with music, live phone call access, and additional audio and programming. Anthony and TBT would love for you to be a part of the live broadcast and recording of Situation and Circumstance at KCBZradio.com.
Welcome back to Situation and Circumstance. Of course, we're at KCBZradio.com, and you were just listening to, and forgive me if I am saying it wrong, Madiha Bahati. That was dope. I remember when you sent, first of all, thank you, Mariah, for a really great production on deconstructing perpetuated gender norms of women. And when I first heard that, I thought it was long, but it was long and packed with punch, and I felt myself trying to figure out what would I say to that. Yeah. Like she said, she hit on so many things that it was almost like there was nothing, like she could drop the mic after that, like after everything that she said, anything I would have asked or been concerned with. But now I find myself having a question. Because she, inside of that, she mentioned a lot to do with music and how and what we're listening to and so now that takes me back. Now it makes me wonder what your thoughts were when you decided to go with her, when we consider that her spoken word piece doesn't seem to agree with the theory that what Cardi B is saying is okay. From what she's saying, it sounds like she's saying, let's stop listening and promoting this kind of music that depicts women as a certain way. So nothing to even do with, at this point, nothing to even do with the video, just thinking about her saying what she does. Like, we talked about this several episodes ago, that she said that she used to run up in a place and you know, rob dudes, make them think that they were going to get some sex, and then rob them.
Well, I would say this. I would,
and
that's a fact. But I think so. What brings me to this is I don't want to. I'll talk about Cardi. I want to talk about the guys first, because that's what I hear a lot in this. Is because I hear a lot of what she's saying, and she even said that wasn't my reality growing up. That she grew in a different reality, but now she's living in that reality where she is hearing all of this noise.
Do you know what she means by that wasn't her reality?
Like that wasn't her world. How she saw love, like her parents, her upbringing, like that, her immediate environment of what she was given.
The music, that misogynistic music wasn't her reality.
And now she's so now she's growing up with that, and now she's seeing that that this is the reality.
Like,
and so
I have a comment about that.
So the reason why I put that is because of me putting the blurred lines 1 minute clip earlier, was because we have these like she said, this beautiful sound in the background, and it makes you want to dance.
That Marvin
But
Gaye.
when you listen to the words, that's where the issues lie. What Robin Thicke was saying about women and their place, about where they lie, and it's heard in all different genres of music, not just one here or there. It's all different kinds, and so it starts with that, and continuing that perpetuation of the man has the power, the man has the say, the woman is the one that we just objectify, and that this is your place. And you should be happy about it, too. You should be happy when you even have a place.
So what about women who make music about?
And so I wanted to say that first because that's where that starts. That it starts with that period. Now, second, if it's a woman talking about and degrading herself, that's
or
one thing.
Degrading men too. I feel like there's a rise of that. Like Megan Thee Stallion's like, shut up and do unmentionable things to me. I don't know if I could say it on this.
Like doing the same but reverse.
Yeah.
I think objectifying is objectifying, period. And I think it comes, I can't speak for why they feel or why they say it the way that they do.
Well, that's why I was going to make that comment for this speaker specifically, because she said that that's not how she grew up and that wasn't the reflection of love for her upbringing. But I feel like it's hard to say that we shouldn't be perpetuating negative stereotypes. We definitely shouldn't, but we also have to understand that some of the places that these people are coming from, that they're speaking on what they know, and they're speaking on their reality, and they're using the only voice that they know how. So it's like, you can't expect Cardi B coming from the roughest part of the Bronx to come out and be like, just be this super politically correct woman. She needs to, what we love about her is her rawness, her genuineness, and her speaking about where she comes from and the language that they use in the Bronx. Just like YG, like I wrote an article about this, like YG, his gangster rap music, a lot of people don't agree with those lyrics, and he does definitely objectify women in his lyrics, but he's speaking in the ways that he grew up and he knows how to speak, you know, and he also has different songs.
That's not what, for me, that's not what this is saying. It's not saying that, the way that you grew up, that's wrong, or that's not what this is saying at all. Yeah. That's how you speak. That's how you speak. Okay. Yeah. Come here. Go ahead.
Because she also mentioned.
But that's not saying what you're speaking about and how you're degrading somebody. If that's what you learned, that's something that we can also unlearn.
Yeah.
That's fine. How you speak is fine. That's not what this is talking about. What this is talking about is what you're saying and how you're saying it and how you're going about it and how you're continuing this noise. That's what this is talking about. It ain't talking about who cares. Who cares how someone speaks? What your story is, that's dope. Say it how you say it. With this continuation of toxicity is the issue, and that's what's being talked about.
But I disagree to an extent, because she talked about Beyonce and how can a woman not wear pants in a video but wear pants in a relationship? Like, that's Beyonce. So that was downplaying who Beyonce is. That is talking about her. Don't do it this way. Although I was brought up this way, I'm going to bring up a couple of names because I don't agree with how they're doing it. So that's already a little bit of division. So it's either just do your thing, period. But
I agree.
I'm not going to talk about how you're doing it and hype myself up, because to your point, we all have different realities. So the whole bringing up other people, name dropping, and be like, well, I don't agree with that.
And I know,
do it my way? Nah.
So
you
her
just
video,
perpetuate love.
I agree.
I agree. The way of thinking.
So I don't know if because she's, I don't even know the correct name of this, but I'm just going to describe the look of what she's wearing. It's like a scarf over her head, and so I'm wondering if in her reality, when she was growing up, she was taught what a woman should and shouldn't wear. That's what I'm wondering with that. That might not be it at all. And that's just me asking a question just based off of her name and then what she wore. Is that her background? And the fact that she said that's not how I was raised. So how were you raised?
Yeah.
I don't know her. I don't know her whole life story, right? So we all are imperfect, right? So that one of those things where it's like, it made me question, okay, so I get what you're saying as far as why are we continuing to not wear certain things? Well, that's a choice. If that's a choice of Beyonce's, if it's a choice of Beyonce's to wear whatever the heck she's wearing, that's a choice of hers. Yeah. If it's a subconscious, I'm supposed to be doing this in order to get the rates, the money. If I'm doing it because I feel like that's what I have to do, that's something different.
Yeah.
Well, some of this is very, some of this is very Americanized anyway, because when we think about, so I was with a friend of mine, and we were facilitating to some kids, and that was great. And we left there, and we had a long talk on the way back because these were high school kids. And different things came up, and I remember we were talking about something as simple as women wearing shirts without bras, right? And so we talked about this. Well, you're probably like, why was y'all talking about that? Oh, look, if my wife's listening at home, she's probably like, why was y'all talking about? But the reason we were talking about it was because of this. So... Okay, so they had this movement, and forgive me if it was, I'm not, if the 60s and the 70s, you burn the bras and all that. You telling me there was a free nipple movement I didn't know about? Free the nipple?
It's a thing.
See, I'm not mature enough for that conversation. I'm just being honest with you. I'm not mature enough for a free the nipple conversation.
He's like, free them nipples, girl.
No, but here's, or maybe, well, this is what we're talking about. We were talking about that, and I was asking her a couple of things. So, I remember there was a time where I was staying with a friend of mine, and with a friend of mine and his then girlfriend. They're now happily married. And when I was roommating there, I would notice her walking around. He'd be gone, and she'd be walking around, and she'd have this thin shirt on, and not only and she had huge thumb-sized nipples. I'm just being descriptive as opposed to making fun of it. And then you could also see very clearly the areolas through it. It was things were kind of clear there. Okay. And what I thought it was her way of trying to come on to me. Yeah, like, so anything she said, like, you know, do you want to eat some breakfast? I'm like, you're asking it. It's not like you're just asking me, do I want eggs? You're asking me, do I want eggs? And those nipples are pointing the direction.
Sound like nipples on my grits.
So on the grits. To be completely honest with you, I didn't mature past that and understand. Now, let me just say this. I ended up telling my friend that, you know, that what was going on, and it didn't turn out so well for their relationship at that time. They split up for a long time before they eventually, and I'm so happy they got back together. Good. Because what happened is I was a lot younger then, and this is what I thought was happening. Yeah. I did not know that wasn't happening until, I don't know, I've been married 10 years with my wife for about 17, 18 years. And I didn't learn that until being with her. Wow. and realizing that there is a situation where you can be being free of yourself and not realize, or you weren't even thinking about that your nipples are doing. It's just your body. Like a man don't go out there and think about if his nipples are hard or not, and men's nipples do get hard too. So you're not even concentrating on that. And it gave me this different perspective of like, wow, way back then, she probably wasn't trying to do this. She was just walking around being normal, and then we were all like family-ish, not related, but like how we cared about each other and thinking like, he's not looking at me like this. And it wasn't that I was, but there was that part of me that thought that this was, and so how wrong I was for that. So when I fast forward now to a few weeks ago or a month ago when I talked to this last person and was talking about this nipple thing, I said, well, how do you feel about, do you believe that women should be able to, and should start, you know, to fight the power, start walking around with, you know, not wearing bras or with nipples, you know, they're available, or however that would look. Just out of curiosity, I wanted to know what she thought about it. And she said, I love what she said. She said that her boyfriend, actually, because he's so liberated and into anti-oppression, that he was like, you know, hey, you should, do it. You should just do that. But for her, she was like, men aren't mature enough for that right now. Even other women aren't mature enough for that right now. And so when I think about that concept, I feel like we're in a country where some of these things that we're fighting for, they can't happen. Yeah, are we ready for them? They couldn't happen at like boom, just happen right then. Yeah. If tomorrow we all said, all women from now on don't wear bras and walk around with regardless of the size of your nipples, whether sunflower seed or dates.
My God.
Right? Go on ahead. But it makes a difference. That makes a difference. Because there's people that hardly have any breasts that will go around, I almost said breastless, go around braless all the time. Because they don't feel that pressure.
Breastless and
right? Right? So it's like, but then if some people did it, it would cause some panic. It doesn't make it fair, but it's true.
That's why I disagree. I disagree
Tell me what
with
you think that. So how do you think
I
that
think,
that like tomorrow if somebody said let's all women let's wear it?
I think some people.
All the men will be out that day.
It goes back to learning, right?
No, I will.
Sometimes we have to be pulled or pushed or coaxed in order to make change, in order to move, in order to think differently, right? Sometimes we have to be made to change. Sometimes we have to be made to do something. So in this, along with many other things, I feel like they can be done like that, just like that. And we will have to, we would have to now get used to and learn a new reality. And the fact that it's not gradual over time, it's not being spoon-fed. It's just like, let me throw you into the water and you're going to learn how to swim. Because why? Because you have to survive. That same thing here, this is our new reality. And this is why we're doing it. It's because it's a healthy thing. It's a healthy mindset thing. And we're going to learn. It's going to be a learning curve. Yes, it will, for some more than others. But we'll learn. Just like with this, that's just one part of it. I mean, I walk around with my bra off all the time. And now my family knows. At first they started saying, but because I kept doing it, and this is just my reality. This is what I don't want. I don't want to wear a bra if ever. Today, I just so happen to be wearing one, but now my family is now used to it. They no longer question it. They're like, you can wear what you're wearing, Mariah. They know who I am. They know it. They've gotten used to it.
So the same thing. Eventually get used to it.
Eventually, just like for anything, we would get used to it. So the same thing with the perpetuation of these gender roles. These people in charge you got to change the toxicity, change that mindset. Why are we even continuing this perpetuation? Let's change it. Everyone do it, because this is for the betterment of humanity, of the world, of continuation of generations. This is the thing that will be best. So just do it. And eventually it'll start to feel natural, to start to feel a part of our reality, just like when this toxicity began in the first place. That was learned. This can be learned too.
I personally believe in this transition, the step-by-step process, because I think that in places like Europe, you do see nudity more on TV. So I think they're more accustomed to nudity in general, and they're not as fascinated.
And we are a younger country.
Yeah, we are very
so it's
very
why
new country.
They are already there.
Yeah, they're advanced, but I think that we can change it overnight and say this is the way it is, like accept it. This is the new status quo. But it's what it comes down to. It's about changing the mindset of the people who are viewing it. So if we walk around with our nipples out, maybe some decades later, people will eventually start accepting that nipples are out as old people die and young people are born. But I think that if you want to see that change in your lifetime, I think that we should be educated along with the exposure. I think that's for anything, even with a child, like exposing a child to nudity at a young age and explaining to them that it's very normal and it's okay to be comfortable in your skin and it's okay to be nude, that eventually they'll grow up to be an adult that is accepting of that, rather than just like straight up throwing it into people's faces that have already kind of formed their opinions about the world. I'm saying if you want to see the change soon, I think that a slower transition combined with education is the best route personally, versus just doing it overnight. Because any of us who did not grow up with that being the norm are not going to be mature enough to have a woman come in for an interview wearing no bra. I wear a bra to work, but I don't wear a bra outside of work.
And having huge nipples through this shirt that are very visible. Yeah. I don't believe that a male is going to be able to be mature enough to, even if he's, I'm saying a good man. I'm saying a good man who is not looking to cheat or not looking to do all of these, things, really is not into that. But it's just it would be a distraction for somebody who didn't grow up.
I totally
with
get that.
This being a norm.
I think it's education and thrown into the fire. education
okay.
while being thrown into the fire.
I think so. So, hey, you know what? We could go on and on and on with this show. It's been very beautifully developed, and we thank you for hanging in there with us. And as always, we promise our listeners that we will continue to make beautiful mistakes. We embrace the opportunity afforded by our ancestors to speak, whether right or wrong, weak or strong. We be learning humans, working on liberation and scaffolding a meaningful and fair existence for all. Till the next time, my netches, I want to thank TBT, the best team, and Tiana for joining us in that.
Of course.
Thank you for being here, for
course,
sharing, girl.
Till the next time, uhuru.
Thanks, y'all. Bye.
Just get out.
Situation and circumstance. Fight for wisdom, not ignorance. Trying to avoid it is not a lonely dance. Can we see each other with only a glance? Situations and circumstances. Fight for wisdom, not ignorance. Trying to avoid it is not a lonely dance. Can we see each other with only a glance?
Cake mix and race mixes, matrix, kill the witches, 3 digits, made of 6s, KKK or white privilege, old spirits, blood riches, real hatred, fake forgiveness, skinny image, fat problems, I don't really know how we solve them, gods made us, kings gave us, 2 enslavers, 2 enslavers, castaways on railways, underground dark web pages, Marvel heroes, connect the zeros, connect the pharaohs, bone marrow, Egyptian princes, dark and ancient, preserve the patience, black and Haitian, white and Asian, British coaches, eat crustaceans, ocean roaches, Illuminati inject the bodies, GMOs, drug hobbies, Aboriginal, Pan-African, old biblical, reincarnation, hip-hop playlists, vocal rangers, sexist wages, sex changes, the game of life, bullets fly, ruin nights, players clueless, kids' rights, humans fight, nature loses, hard of hearing, Dolomite, Darwinism, Garvanite, hates a virus, terabytes, hard to live with, parasites, come on.
Situation and circumstance.